It was hard writing a book. It's hard to write about your life, but it's even more difficult to write about the death of your child. And so, not only was it hard to write, but it's even hard to read. When I pick up the book now, I can't read it. I can't just pick the book up and read it. I have to read a chapter or two and then put the book down in a couple of days later because it's so difficult. It's like you never really take a look at your life until you have to write it on paper, until you have to read it. And so we relive those moments that are in those chapters. We relived everything that we went through from the time that we found out that Trayvon was deceased, to the medical examiners, to the funeral, to the trial, the protests, the rallies, just everything that we've been through is in there. But it's told through a parent's point of view. It's not the media telling you what they think. It's us telling you how we really felt. And so it's some sad parts in there, but that's understandable because we lost something very valuable. Something was taken away from us that's very valuable. So the pain is written in those pages.
It definitely feels that it's been a long, tedious 5 years. We've been through so much. We've been through trials and tribulations. We've been through heartache and pain. We've been through ups and downs. We've had our emotional roller coasters. We've had those dark days, those dark nights. And no matter what you do, every day I wake up, I think about my child. I think about what he would have been. I think about what he would have been doing. I think about how he would have looked, possibly grandchildren from him. So these past 5 years have definitely been rough. And to write it on paper, write it in a book, it doesn't bring closure. It's not a healing process. But I can say that writing this book has been very therapeutic because through this book we've been able to share our story, share our heartache, share our pain, but at the same time help other families deal with the loss of their children. And so that's what it's all about, continuing to fight for justice, continuing to fight for Trayvon.
The reason why we wrote the book is because, and I see I got some moms up here too, amen. The reason why we wrote the book was because there are a few books out there about Trayvon, and we needed to tell our side of the story as parents. And so most of the books, well, all of the books that's out there now, they didn't even know Trayvon. They didn't know who he was. They never met Trayvon. They're just simply writing a story. And so we wanted to tell our version of who Trayvon Martin was. Another thing was important to us is how Trayvon was portrayed in the media. He was no different than any other teenager. And so we wanted to make that crystal clear. And when you read the book, you'll see those things. We're just average parents, and he was just an average teenager. He was no thug. He was no drug dealer. And he wasn't committing any crime. But you'll see all of that once you start reading the book. You'll see a lot more of who Trayvon was. I don't think for 1 minute that when this first happened, that I wasn't miserable. I was hurt, I was broken, I was crawling on the floor, but that part you didn't see. You didn't see because you wasn't supposed to see that part. You didn't see when I was crying and I couldn't get up off the floor, but I talk about my broken pieces in that book. And I need to share that with you so that you know that I haven't always been strong. You have to know that there were times that I told myself I would never be happy again. And then I prayed to God every day and every night that he would strengthen me and help me through this. And you also have to know that you have to be careful what you say to yourself. Because even though people were telling me how strong I was, I didn't believe it. Even though I came from a long line of strong women, I didn't believe it. It was until I started telling myself that I was strong that I became strong. And so you have to talk those things in existence. And it's one of the things that grieving in public, we didn't have a choice at the time. I mean, it's either we get the message out and get the word out, because we felt that Trayvon's death was going to be swept under the rug and that nobody would know about it. And so we had to make a decision for our son to go public. Who wants to go public? Who wants to, we were just average people. I mean, working average jobs with an average house and an average car and, just an average lifestyle. And then your life is interrupted. But you have to do whatever is necessary. You have to do whatever it takes. You have to do that for your children, for all children sometimes. And so the grieving part, I'm still going through. I'm probably going to be grieving the rest of my life. But I understood one thing by grieving so publicly, it lessens the pain the more you help somebody else. So that was one of the things that I learned early, is that number one, to surround myself with positive people, and number two, it lessens my pain when I help somebody else's pain.
The justice system didn't do us any justice as far as letting the court, letting the media, and letting the jurors know who Trayvon was. We'll never get justice for Trayvon because he's gone. Justice for us is having our son here. And so we'll never get what we feel is truly justice. But what we would have liked to see was a conviction of the individual who killed our son. We would like to see a sentence that was lengthy enough. You do the crime, you gotta do the time. And so that would have been, that would have served its purpose. But since he was acquitted, we just said that we would not let his acquittal define who Trayvon is. And so one of my main things is, I'm here to make you uncomfortable. I'm here to make you, if it makes you uncomfortable for me to say Trayvon Martin, then I'm here to make you as uncomfortable as I possibly can. Because
you hear Trayvon Martin's name a lot. You see the hoodie picture a lot. Trayvon represents so many more. And so with the president saying that Trayvon could have been his son, first statement he said, and then he went on to say Trayvon Martin could have been him. And that brings it right back full circle, because we always felt that Trayvon could have been anybody. And Trayvon could have been anybody's son. And that's why we always say that Trayvon Martin was our son, but he's your son too, because he could have been anybody's son. It could have happened to anybody. And so we're not asking you to weep for us. We're not asking you to be sad when we're sad. We're just asking you to have some compassion. When you hear about, you call them a story, but it's a tragedy, it's a life for us. And it does not go away. The next story does not just come up and we can move on to the next story. We have to live this the rest of our lives. And a lot of times we say that we want to see changes happen. We want things to change in our community, in our state, in the country, but we don't want to be a part of the change. And so what we're looking at now is being a part of that change. So we're taking a look at different political offices and see how we can make the biggest impact. Where can we make a difference? We plan to start with local government and then eventually go to the state of Florida and then eventually go, national. But for right now, we're looking at local government, and we want to be a part of the change. And instead of sitting back saying, okay, we want you as representative to make this change or that change. We want to be a part of the change. We want to be a part of the movement. We want to do our part in society, and we're asking that you also get involved, that the people also get involved, and make sure that you're involved in your community. You might not need to do it on a national level. You might need to do it on a local level. So we're just asking for you guys to get involved as well.
I can no longer, grab and hold and hug and kiss and so I'm uncomfortable. So if you're uncomfortable with me mentioning my son's name, if you're uncomfortable with me saying justice for Trayvon, if you're uncomfortable with me leading protests, peaceful protests, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. And so I vow to continue to put my son's name in the forefront of every conversation that I have, just to remind America the injustices that you put me and my family through. We will never forget. How we honor him with a peace walk and a peace talk with our foundation. We formed the Trayvon Martin Foundation, which is located at Florida Memorial University in Miami. And so we have the peace walk and peace talk, and later on that night we have the remembrance dinner. The peace walk, we try to get as much as the community as possible involved in it. And we invite all the kids out, whatever youth football program or sports that you with, we encourage them to wear their jerseys. We ask their parents to come out, and we want the kids to know that they have a right to walk in peace.